welcome back to Good in the Middle Way. I'm your host Rob, and I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. Now, I know I say that a lot on this channel, but this one is truly paramount to our well-being. That is, we have to take care of our minds, and we have to practice good mental hygiene. Now, it's so easy to get distracted in this busy digital age, as well as this onslaught of negative information and negative news, that we really start to struggle to find some goodness. You know, they sprinkle it in here or there, a little piece of good news, but it's mostly terrible and mostly makes us feel just the same. And so I want to spend today talking about some ways in which we can purify, cleanse. There's a lot of adjectives, but today I was thinking about sanitizing my own mind through some of this negativity. Whatever adjective works for you is great, or use a bunch. We just need to clean house, clean the attic. And so what are some ways in which we can do that? Well, first it's going to take a concerted effort. We're going to have to intentionally build this into our routine, into our life, into our practice. Even if it's small, just 30 seconds, a couple minutes a day, but we really have to put that effort in and no, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna watch that thing, I'm gonna read that book, which brings me to my first suggestion, which would be the content in which we are consuming. Now, there's no shortage of good books with positive information. There's no shortage of prayer books of any faith that spread positivity, as well as great Buddhist books and Buddhist prayers as well. There is wholesome cat videos and pets online. I love the dog ones when they're running around and just being a dog, happy. And I think that's, the first easy step. It is very easy to see that and hear about how we are often sold that, but we don't engage it. And that's really kind of where we need to step first is oh yeah, I kind of know I have to do that thing. It's kind of like drinking more water, but we don't actively always do it. And so, because it's so accessible, start there. Maybe even to set a time limit for how much news you'll read or ingest, That's also, I found, really important in these, troubling times. That whatever I get to read is what I got to read, whatever I got through, after about 15, 20 minutes, just put it down, because otherwise you get sucked in through the algorithm and you're just watching, reading, and it's all so terrible. But that would be one of the first steps to cleansing our minds, and that's what I do for cleansing my own mind. I say, for every bad piece of content I see, I'm going to try to have at least one to neutralize, but maybe have two to start building up more of that positive mind. Like last week's episode, talking about building that positive mindset, going back to good memories that I've had, or going back to, I'm a big photo guy, so I go back to my albums and stuff, and I generate a good feeling within myself, and then I will kind of carry that energy and use that to offset, which is really important. Now, the next suggestion I would say would be some form of meditation. Now, that could be difficult for some people, and we haven't covered much meditation practice, skills, things to do, things to avoid. But quickly, I would say, if you have a very anxious mind, it's always jumping around, it's very hard for you to sit still. When you meditate, mentally let yourself let go of the goals and that goal setting, grasping sort of mind, I'm supposed to be doing it like this, it's supposed to look like that. No. Your only goal is to sit in that spot for however long you've decided and try to count as many breaths as you can. And every time your mind starts to wander, just come back to the breath. And if your mind is extra excited that day and really jumping around, dance with it. Your mind's trying to tell you something, it's talking to you. Really hear it and see what this part of you is trying to tell you and trying to make sure is being done. You'll gradually be able to build into a more silent, steady place. But initially, as we're trying to take care of our minds, we're trying not to focus on the negatives, whether it's in the external world going on around us or in our interpersonal life. We're trying to bring that back in and just focus on this moment right here, right now. Maybe there's dishes to be done in the other room, but right now you're sitting here. Right now, this is all you need to be doing, and it is enough. And that is one thing I can't stress, is don't pressure yourself too much. Now, I'm thinking of another third here to offer you, that maybe you can lean on others, and this comes with the special caveat, you don't want to call and just have a venting session where you're complaining about others or something. You want to call and check in because you're, concerned, hopefully in the neutral, positive sense, and just, hey, I just wanted to know how you're doing. Let's catch up. Maybe rehash a memory with someone, because then it will generate like, hey, do you remember that really good time that we had on the beach? And I dropped my ice cream and the seagull came and got it, and you were scrambling to catch it and try to help me, but it was already on the ground, and something like that, where you have this funny thing going on, and you can generate this positive mood for yourself, which will then help clean out your mind and really come back into goodness, come back into peace. Because there's only so much we can control in our interpersonal lives, and that's where it starts, and that's where we have control. So when the external world is going too crazy, you have to just come back in and not shelter yourself in a way and tune it out. It's good to be mindful of what's going on around you. That's actually quite healthy and quite important to, be informed. But also know your limits, know when to come back, and then find these ways. Maybe you have a pet actually too, easier than people, because you could just enjoy your pet and play with them and have toys or something, or if you divulge certain privacy information to them, or about somebody else, the dog or the cat or your fish is not talking back, they're not going to relay that news. So that's another way in which we can start to clear some of that negativity, because it's really so important. All this stress, all this anxiety, it's showing up in all the health journals about how it's affecting us on the cellular level, and it's affecting our sleep, and the bad sleep is taking years off our life, and I could go on and on. So how do we make all that better? And maybe we don't have time to exercise right now, so we're just going to take a little time though and make that time with the intention to, I'm going to clear the cache. I'm going to go in and I'm going to just think about, that there was a lot of heaviness today, there was a lot of negativity today. These things in my life are very difficult, but I'm going to give myself a moment to rest. I'm going to allow myself that moment to rest, and I'm going to allow myself to just another moment to enjoy my breath. Like, my lungs are still working. The air is still clean enough. It's quite refreshing, and you can build on that. Maybe have your favorite food or a dessert or something, but just really shifting that focus. If you're of a certain age, you'll remember, or at least the references to, moving the needle, taking it off one track of the vinyl and putting it on a different track. You don't have to keep in that one track and on that song that might be mentally causing you so much distress. You could just pick up the needle, move it to something else. And if your record player skips back to that one with the deep grooves and you're just like, I can't, do it, just keep picking it up, like with your breath, another tool, move it over. Oh, nice. And then slowly that one moment's longer, slowly it's longer. And then one day you find the plug to that, bumpy record player. You say, now I could just turn this thing off and go do something else and enjoy. But it's really about moving our focus and then trying to watch how much time that we are indulging in these negative things and so on. As I was emphasizing last week with how our thoughts recycle, we have to keep planting these seeds of good thoughts, neutral, good. This one's kind of bad, but we're gonna, just neutralize it. It's not our task to solve. It's not our problem. It's not our emotion to actually sort. We can only sort our own emotions and work through our own stuff. You know, no matter how hard we try, we can never grab into the other person's mind. I can't take out the pain from you, though I wish I could, which speaks to that bodhisattva aspiration that you'll find on the middle way or through the Mahayana path. And so I think if you can access these tools, or rather allow yourself to access these tools that are readily available to all of us, you will find that you'll start having better days. And that is just so paramount to our well-being, to feeling better, both in our psyche, but also in our bodies, becoming more relaxed, which will increase our longevity, and really just making a better time of what will be the story of our lives. And so, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy to have you here and sticking along for the journey. If you've enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe. If you only feel inclined, it just helps other people see us along the journey and join us, as that's how these algorithms work. And so, no pressure either way. I'm just happy you're here and getting to watch with me and practice with me. So, with that, I wish you well. I wish you to be free of suffering and all the conditions for happiness. So we'll close now with our favorite breath, coming back to this moment. Peace in and peace out. Please take good care of your mind. Take good mental hygiene. It's very important. Thank you.